Hi, everybody. Anya Nichols, the Backwards Traveler, coming to you after this 4th of July weekend, and I hope you and yours celebrated 250 years of the U.S. of A. If you are American, and if you're not, I hope you just had a nice weekend. I am very, very proud of my American heritage, although you know that I am an Anglophile, but we did celebrate America proudly and listen to the Beatles and Paul while doing so, because why not? That's what you do. So for my video today, I had a little fun exercise. I wanted to go through and just rank my top 10 favorite Paul/Wings album openers. And there's been a lot of chit-chat since the release of The Boys of Dungeon Lane about the best album closer. Oh, this is being Mama Gets By. A lot of people have really ranked that very highly, and it's certainly in the conversation. But I wanted to think about what are some of Paul's 10 best album openers of all time. And this is a topic I probably discussed at some point on Two Legs, but opinions change over the years. Your rankings change, you bring things up. Today, I'm going to give you my top 10 Paul McCartney/Wings album openers from 10 through 1. Coming in at number 10, it's Coming Up from 1980. And believe it or not, just the other night, for the first time, we watched this skit from Saturday Night Live from May of 1980 when it was the Father Guido Sarducci thing where he was outside of MPL. I didn't have that skit in my video collection at all. I'd read about it. I know that Coming Up was promoted on it, but to actually watch that 3 or 4 minute skit where he's outside of MPL and he's out there and it's 5:30 in the morning and Paul comes out in his bathrobe and then Linda does too. And of course he's asking him, is this your 122nd time taking pot? And he's like, well, I just thought you were going to show the video. That was really cool and historic. And I want to give a quick shout out to Mike Nair, who provided me with visual goodies very recently. That was one of them. So thank you. So Coming Up easily can be in a top 10. Great video for it. Great hook. Beatly. I mean, the video is really just fantastic. I wanna help you with your problem. It's around, I say. We were saying that how it's so cool now that Paul includes Coming Up in his set list, and the video wall behind him has that kind of Coming Up video montage layout on it. And so many of Paul's great videos in the 80s were done by Keith McMillan. We've got to consult Sinclair and Cozen on him. We think they've tried to reach out to him, but he doesn't really want to speak to anybody, which is a shame because Keith produced so many great Paul McCartney vids in the 80s that it's a shame that he's been reticent to speak about it. But I do love the Coming Up video. Put me in the column of the studio version is better than the live. Beatly Tone, my mate who saw that song performed live in 1979, I think is amazing. He might disagree with me, but the quirkiness of the original on McCartney 2 gives it a ranking in a top 10 list for sure. Number 9, we're going to go to the album opener from New, and that's Save Us from 2013. It's a real potboiler, as George Martin liked to call it, and that one comes right out of the gates, hits you. Boom. Let's cut that. You got something that can save us, save us. Ooh, ooh. Love that. You got something that can save us, save us. I got to see him do that in 2016 at MetLife, which was awesome. And I love how New is really, really aging very well 13, 14 years later. That's going to be, I think, the album that pushes The Boys of Dungeon Lane. And I know that some of you out there message me that and, rank that one and compare that one. We'll do another ranking video, but I want to let the dust settle on some of my previous videos, and that's going to be a really fun one to do. And maybe Keir Smith, From Me to You, will do that one with me. Number 8, Off the Ground, 1993. Another one, just right out of the gate, rocker, awesome, claps. Love that. Another one with a great video. I need loving, you need loving too. Wouldn't take a lot, get off the ground. It's got a great hook. Off the Ground is a song that has great production in it. Musically, it's very adventurous. It's a very 90s sounding song, and that's okay. I know Off the Ground has its detractors and it has its lovers out there, but for me, it is a strong album opener. He did, in fact, play it on that 93 tour. Foolishly was not included on Paul as Live. It should have been. And it's catchy too, right? Off the ground, la 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 la, off the ground. Some people might think that that's too simple and it's too predictive, but you know what? Predictive's okay. If it sounds good to you and you enjoy it, who cares what the lyrics are? And Off the Ground is a hell of a song to open up an album and is worthy of a ranking in the top 10, in my opinion. Number 7, we're going to go nostalgic mode, and that is the song, not songs, the song we were singing, the opener from 1997's Flaming Pie. No question, that definitely is a nostalgic song. Great album opener and worthy. It's reflectful. It's Paul channeling his memories of the Beatles, of course, coming on the back of the anthology. Whaler of a song on it. Great guitar solos. Great demo of it on the Flaming Pie box set that came out in 2020. Yeah, I think that one has kind of gotten forgotten a little bit. And you've got to remember here, context is everything. In 1997, people thought a 56-year-old Paul McCartney was saying goodbye. The Beatles anthology had come out. It was very successful. It was awesome. It re-energized an already strong fan base of the Beatles community, made new fans, of which was myself included. I was a fan, but the Beatles anthology cemented my fandom 31 years later on and counting. And now you have an album like Flaming Pie that is so steeped in nostalgia, just like the Boys at Dungeon Lane, but you're like, even back then, you're like, is this Paul saying farewell? You know, the guy's going to be 60 soon. Like, is he going to keep going? So to open up with the song we were singing, you're like, wow, here's a guy who's almost 60 saying, look at the life I had with the guys I was in a band with 30 years ago. Context and time and place is everything with music. And I still rate the song we were singing very, very highly because it's of that period. And thankfully, Paul has been with us for the last 30 years to deliver such amazing albums of varying degrees of success, as some of you will say out there. But as I said, it's kind of been lost a little bit, which is a shame because it is a very special song when you hear it and you are instantly transported back to VH1, the McCartney Town Hall with John Fuel sang, and reading about these songs and hearing them. And it was a great opener, and it still is a great opener, and that's why it's in my top 10. Number 6, from the shirt I'm wearing, Flowers in the Dirt, My Brave Face. What more can you say about it? Beatly with a capital B. Another great video. Come and take me to that place, as Paul does in the Put It There video. You know, it's a shame that My Brave Face was only played live on that 89-90 tour because it is such a damn good opening track, you know, of an album. It could open a live show. You know, so, you know, Paul really has a knack for starting albums really strongly. Sometimes not. You know, you've got things like Mumbo, which is absolute crap. You know, there are some songs that I'm like, okay, like Reception opens up Back to the Egg, even though Back to the Egg's fantastic. That's technically the opener. You know, Stranglehold, that's not that great of an opening track for me. So he does have some misses on some openers, but when he's on, it's on fire. My Brave Face, indisputably, got to be in the top 10. Number 5, and we're going to go back to kind of melancholy, melodic, and that's London Town. Not a rocker at all. The Wings harmonies shine on this song. You know, you really can hear the importance of Linda and Denny Lane in the harmonies on London Town with the ooze towards the last third of the song. And that's the Wings sound when you really get down to it and you hear those harmonies. And there's just a beautiful melody crafted over it, a 4.5-minute song. You know, Silver Rain was falling down. You can just visualize it. Now, here's a video that is not so good. This video is bad, man. What were they thinking? Although I do like the cameo from Victor Spinetti, of course, from A Hard Day's Night fame. But this was one of those videos that could have been done much better. In actual fact, if you go on YouTube, you can find a better video where the three of them are just in the Thames eating fish and chips. That's a better video than them walking down. I think they were actually in Twickenham when they shot that. Denny looks like he's half awake. Paul and Linda are probably under the influence. Peace and love, which is great, but the video just it's really dull. For such a great song and a great album cover, And an opening track, the video is crap. But London Town, for me, is got to be in a top 5 album openers for McCartney. Easily. Especially as the song ends. You know, somewhere and somewhere has to know. And then you hear Paul come back in again. Silver rain was falling down upon the dirty ground of London Town. And you hear the Wings harmonies end that.
Silver rain was falling down upon the dirty ground of love.
That's the stuff magic is made of when you hear that. And the song just comes to a nice rest. Oh, beautiful. Number 4. Yes, it's going in the top 10. And yes, As You Lie There is a top 10 McCartney album opener. Unlike anything he's ever done. Spoken word intro. Great bass notes. Great freaking rocking out. All the little nuances and the little vocal drops he drops in there. I mean, he recorded it when he was 80-something years old. I think it was the first song they did, so this is probably 2021 when he recorded with Andrew Watt. But everything about that. And thank you to our friend Buddy on Discord. He pointed out that at the 258 mark is where you hear Ringo's tambourine. We're like, where's Ringo's tambourine? There it is. So thank you, Buddy, for that. But As You Lie There, that has got to be in the top 10 for sure.
In the room beyond the blind, do I ever cross your mind? As you lie there, oh, as you lie there.
I mean, listen to that. Who does that? Incredible. Number 3, an obvious choice, but it's got to be, and that's Band on the Run. I was just talking to Bob Gannon today. We're messaging, and he was like, Paul Setzer are kind of tired. And I said, Bob, you say that, but when you're in the moment, you really don't care, do you? And as Ted and Dane Sawyer can tell you, Band on the Run rocks. And when you're jamming out to that song at a Hall concert, you don't care how many times you've heard that song.
And the bell was ringing in the village square for the rabbits on the run. Band on the run.
For the rabbits on the run. It's the best. For the best. For the best. It's a song that is iconic. And it really is going to be the song I think that Paul McCartney is known for. As time marches on and people kind of just Google search, what was Paul McCartney after the Beatles? Band on the Run is going to be the song and the album that's featured. It's Abbey Road Side 2 in a 5-minute song. You know, with the great orchestration. Dun, 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 and then this big dun, 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 and we're off. You cannot deny its awesomeness. You can't. Number 2. We're going to go back into more serious territory, somber tones, like we were at number 5. And at number 2, I'm going with Tug of War from 1982. Paul's first musical statement after John Lennon's passing. You knew that the world was going to be glued in to hear what Paul McCartney had to say, and you had to wait quite a bit for that. McCartney 2, of course, came out in May, and Tug of War follows almost 2 years later in April of 82. So that's a long gap of time back then. Now we're like 2 years, sure, no problem. But back then, artists were cranking out albums every year and singles every 6 months, 9 months. So that was quite a wait. And Tug of War did not disappoint at all. It is epic in every sense of the word. It's a triumph of life. It's coming to terms with somebody who we just lost. George Martin's production is the kind of icing on the cake with Tug of War, because having George Martin produce Tug of War added on top of an already beautiful song is just the icing on the cake for any Beatles fan, because it really just harkens back to that Beatles-like sound. And it takes you there with a gorgeous melody and a gorgeous middle eight. Hearing this song, it's in the major, you know, all of a sudden then you hear, boom, in years to come, they may discover what the air we breathe and the life we lead are all about. But it won't be soon enough for me. Like, he's at 40 years old, he's for the first time questioning what's it all about. And that's pretty telling, because it comes right after John's passing. That was an interesting song, really, when you think about it, because, you know, you think McCartney, a little pop, you know, maybe a little bit of a rocker. But here, for the first time, he opens up with a somber song. Now, London Town, I know I just said was kind of somber, but it was more folky. Tug of War is the first musical statement where you're like, whoa, this isn't Let 'Em In. This isn't Venus and Mars Rock Show. This isn't Band on the Run. This isn't Too Many People, which was much more personal in nature. This is a serious statement of music that really does set the bar very high. And Tug of War, I think, was a no-brainer to be in the top 10. And I'm very curious to see where you guys have it, if you have it at all. I think it should be in the top 10. Number 1 for me was more of a personal choice, just because I love it. And I think it definitely encapsulates everything who Paul McCartney was in the 1970s at the height of his fame. And that is Venus and Mars Rock Show. Wings is successful. Band on the Run has crushed it. He has now critically made it, even though his sales were very healthy. Ram was a UK number 1, US number 2, although the critics hated it. Wildlife didn't really sell that well by Beatles and McCartney standards, but it did okay. Red Horse Speedway, US number 1. But by the time of December of 1973, and really through all of 74, Band on the Run is where he tells his other 3 Beatle bandmates, hold my beer. And riding the crest of that success, he then kind of says, I'm all in with Wings. I've got a new lineup with me. I've got Jimmy McCulloch now joining the album, Joe English joining, and now his confidence was so high to produce a pure pop rock record that was kind of twinged with bits of sci-fi, vaudeville with You Gave Me the Answer, all the things that Paul has been doing since the beginning of time. So when he does these things like Life Can Be Hard, or You Gave Me the Answer, or Honey Pie, you shouldn't be surprised. The man's been doing this kind of stuff for 60-something years, and Venus and Mars Rock Show, the opening track, it's anthemic. And then we get to actually the song of Rock Show, which is just, now the stadium has exploded. You're watching the concert, and those of you that were able to see Wings Over America and hear this song live, God, am I super jealous. What's that man holding in his hand? Looks a lot like that. I mean, it's just everything about it it's a rock show. Got a great middle 8. The lights go down. They're back in town. Okay. Behind the stacks, they glimpse an axe. Paul knew what he was doing when he wrote Rock Show. He was writing a song to say, you know what? I'm about to conquer the world, literally, and take this song and kill audiences with it because I'm confident, I'm ready, and I can wow them. If they criticize me for McCartney, for Ram, for Wildlife, for Red Rose Speedway, you know what? I've delivered the goods with this opening track, and I've crafted a show and a set that really works really well, and the audiences are going to eat it up. And it's no wonder that he opened up the Wings Over the World tour with Venus and Mars Rock Show. And it's just a pity that he did not really revisit it too often after this. In actual fact, only once in 2010 for the Up and Coming tour, when he did a kind of abridged version of it. When he did he did Venus and Mars, and then a very, very abridged version of Rock Show. And we were like, oh, give us more than that. And I know my mate, Beatley Tone, had gone to those shows in 79 thinking, well, I love Wings Over America. Can I just hear Venus and Mars Rock Show? And he heard Cook of the House. He must have just been like, oh, but I digress. It is such a powerful opening, stadium rock, confident number of a song medley, Venus and Mars / Rock Show, call it that. And it's worthy of a number 1 ranking in my opinion, because it's confidence oozing, saying, you know what, I'm going to make my own artistic statement right here. It's not the Beatles, it's not John and Paul, it's not, which is what a lot of Ram was. He's like, here's me and my band, and we're going to make a very artistic statement, down to the music, down to the cover, the sleeve by Hypnosis, with the, it's all balls, with the yellow and red balls, all of it. It was a very, very, very period piece and a very confident statement from somebody who was really shattered after the Beatles broke up. And here he is now going, here I am. My band is one of the best in the world. how do you like me now? Thanks for the call. That's what he's saying, which is why Venus and Mars Rock Show, for me, is the number one. It really does paint a great picture when you listen to the lyrics of Venus and Mars, sitting in the stands, waiting in the sports arena, waiting for the show to begin. Red lights, green lights, and you're like, what is this going to be? Boom. And it's a period piece. You listen to Venus and Mars Rock Show, and you're like, yeah, that's from the 70s. Whereas you could hear something from Flaming Pie and go, damn, that could be on the White Album. So the fact that it's dated doesn't hurt it for me. It definitely, I think, is the best album opener. It's my personal favorite album opener of all of McCartney and Wings albums of all time. And that's why I've had it number one. So let me know what your top 10 McCartney/Wings album openers are. And can you differentiate Wings and McCartney? A lot of McCartney people have a hard time doing that. They're like, McCartney and then Wings. To me, it's all Paul McCartney. Wings is just part of it. And how do you break it down? How do you do that? Let me know what your top 10 Macca album opening tracks are in the comments below. And lastly, a very quick shout out and a thank you to one of my subscribers on all of my podcasts here, Two Legs, Hands Across the Water, Mike Cerisi. Mike, you were so generous. And we haven't met, but we've texted and we've exchanged messages because we're on the same page. Mike sent me 2 copies of The Boys of Dungeon Lane. A gatefold copy. These are both from France, sealed. And another one this is the blue vinyl here, also from France, which I'm going to keep sealed. And Mike, is this the power of music? Mike, thank you so much for these copies of The Boys of Dungeon Lane. Thank you for sending these to me. I'm glad that you enjoy what me and Billy Tone and Tom do on all of our channels. And it gives you joy. Thank you, because this was not necessary. I think I'm in the 20s now of all my copies of Dungeon Lane. Mike, from the bottom of my heart to you, thank you very much for your generosity and your kindness in sending me these copies of the album. I'm very grateful and very appreciative. Mike, thank you, man. As the album sleeve says, rock on lovers everywhere, because basically that's it. See you next time.